The Louie T Network is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up. Take command, of course. I'm your Commander-in-Chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Late Night Louie edition. Cheers to everyone that's up. Cheers to all those of you on the left coast. It's nothing for you. It's 9 o'clock at night. This is perfect timing for you. But for all of us East Coasters, it's late. So shout out to everybody up late, kicking it with the kid. I felt dirty not coming to you guys today on a Friday. But there just wasn't any opportunity for me to do that. The day was crazy for me. I was all over the place. Obviously, last night was wild with the Eagles-Giants game. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but because I feel like there's a ripple effect for the Commanders. But ultimately, there was no practice for the Commanders today. We didn't hear from DQ like we do on normal Fridays before a Sunday game. We're going to probably hear from DQ tomorrow. There will be practice tomorrow for the Commanders. So there just didn't feel like there was a need for me to come to you with anything. And you know how important family time is for me. I wanted to spend time with my wife, but I knew she was going to conk out at me at some point. She's knocked out on the couch right now. So I was like, as soon as she falls asleep, I'm going to jump up here and I'm going to talk to my people, because yesterday was Thursday night, rather. If you're on the East Coast, it's now Saturday. So Thursday night was an eye-opening experience, not because we didn't already know this. We've talked about this on this show and other shows, Commanders Nightly News, Commanders Kings. We've talked about the vulnerability of not just the Eagles. We felt like the Eagles could be had, right? They look like food. But I just talked about it league-wide. Last week was one of those weeks watching the NFL where you went, oh, yeah, like anybody could win a Super Bowl this year. Like, that's real spit. Anybody. I don't give a shit who you are. I remember after the week 4 loss to Atlanta, fans telling me that this team is ass. We're not any good. You know, this, that, and the third. We can't win the division. We can't make the playoffs. You know, we're cooked. This, that. It was a lot of craziness going on after week 4. And last week, week 5, was a quick, brief, swift, and impactful reminder. And then into week 6, with the Eagles loss on Thursday Night Football, that anybody can get their hands on that Lombardi this year. There's not a single dominant team. You just got to get hot at the right time. And if the Commanders can duplicate what they did last year and get hot at the right time, remember, we got hot late in the season. That Titans game into the bye week, coming out of the bye at New Orleans, close call. We got hot at the right time, and we were a buzzsaw. And not that we were blowing teams out, but we were finding ways to win. And if we can get hot after that bye week against Miami, right? And come off of that bye in week 13 against Minnesota. I believe it's Denver, excuse me. Both teams are coming off a bye in week 13. And we can start to rev up that engine and get hot at the right time. Look out, right? Because as we saw in week 5 and into week 6, the Eagles aren't dominant this year. The Bills can be had. The Ravens might not even be around when this thing is all said and done. Lamar Jackson's out again this week. I can't see them beating the Rams without him. They lost 44 to like 13 in week number 5 without Lamar Jackson. I imagine it's going to look very similar this week without him against the Rams. The Chiefs are vulnerable. They got a big one against Detroit. We can't lose in this game with the Chiefs, right? If the Chiefs win, cool. They're still alive. I don't expect the Chiefs to just lay down and die regardless. But the Lions are one of the best teams in the NFC. If the Chiefs clip their wings a little bit, cool. That's good for us. But either way, the Lions, we know are you know, they're human. They're vulnerable. We got them last year in their building, right? The Chiefs, we just saw Jacksonville beat them, and they've had a tough time of it, you know, in case we get to that. And we have the Chiefs on the schedule. So I only say all of this to remind you that it's a long season. There's a lot that has to transpire between now and January and the postseason. There's so much time. Like, everybody's throwing dirt on the Eagles. And look, they may ultimately meet their demise prior to the postseason and not even make it. But the likelihood is they'll get their act together. They'll figure it out. They'll be a solid team, and they'll be in the mix, right? I don't think they're winning this division. I think we are. But that was always my mindset prior to the season starting, and it never wavered. It never changed. So Thursday's outcome didn't make me go, oh, yeah, we can definitely win this division. I already felt that way from Jump Street. All it did was confirm what I already felt, which is they're not what they were last year. We aren't either. I think we're better than we were last year. It may not reflect itself from a record perspective, but overall as a team, we're better than we were a season ago. And I think ultimately, when it's all said and done, that's going to prove itself out in a division crown for the Commanders this year. But you got to take care of business, which takes me to my next point. This game coming up against the Chicago Bears. And I want to speak to some elements surrounding this game, the injury report for both teams. I want to take a look at that. Even though the Commanders didn't practice today, the Bears did. And so I got to go back and amend a statement I made about Chicago yesterday, because now I see what was going on. I understand what the Bears actually did, because I didn't really understand what they were doing, and I questioned them. And so I need to go back and amend a statement I made yesterday about Chicago. And then conversely, I want to talk about the Commanders' injury report, and then help is on the way for the Commanders. And that's another reason to be optimistic if you're a Commanders fan, that this team is getting healthier. While I look around the league and teams are getting banged up all across the league, and it's a war of attrition. We've dealt with injuries. I'm pretty sure it's not the last time this team will deal with injuries this season, but we've dealt with a bunch of them. And we've been, one of the most banged up teams to start the season. We've had a good stretch here over the last 2 weeks. We really haven't suffered many more casualties. Let's hope it stays that way. But we've dealt with a ton of injuries. We've got guys out for the entire season. We've got guys that may or may not come back. We've got guys on IR. We got guys that haven't played in multiple weeks that we're hoping comes back sooner rather than later. We've dealt with injuries, right? Just like everybody else. No one's absolved from injuries. But this Bears game is massive. Not just because it's the Bears. Like, none of us as fans at our core, none of us, and I mean none of us, want to lose to the Chicago Bears on Monday night. Not because Eagles fans are chomping at the bit to get back at us. I care less about that. This is more about dealing with Bears fans and putting them in their place. They're not in our division. They're not a rival of ours. They want to be so bad, but they're not. That's the truth of the matter. The fact is, we want to eliminate them and move on and get them out of the way, so that if a Bears fan tries to step to you, you can just say, hey, check the tape, bro. There's the scoreboard for the 4th year in a row, right? Well, for the 3rd time in 4 years, there's the scoreboard. Get out of my face. Leave me alone, right? We have nothing to say to you. They want Caleb Williams to be better than Jaden Daniels so bad that it has caused them to lose their damn minds. And so just as a fan, removing all of the rational thoughts that we have as fans, like we got to do this and we got to just removing all the rational thoughts and being irrational for a second, just being a fan at its core. F the Bears. Like, we got to beat the Bears just for the sanctity, the sanity of our mentals. So we can be able to say, you, get out of here. You peasants, get out of here. You're not on our level. And neither is your quarterback. And again, I got no beef with Caleb Williams. I've said this so many times, it's not funny. I think that draft class in 2024 has a chance to go down as one of the best to ever be selected at the quarterback position. You've got Caleb, you've got Jaden, you've got Drake May, all of which look good to start their NFL careers. None better than Jaden. I have to make sure I state this because it's important for contextual purposes. He looks to be the cream of the crop of this draft class still. Drake May looks really good, and he's playing well. He just got the biggest win of his NFL career on the road versus Buffalo, right? Caleb Williams has played well. He's playing better this season, right? You've got Michael Penix Jr. coming off his best game of his career, unfortunately, against us prior to the bye week. You've got all of these quarterbacks, right? Bo Nix, big win. Might be his biggest win of his NFL career against the Eagles on the road last week in comeback fashion. We'll see what J.J. McCarthy is, right? We'll figure out what he amounts to. But ultimately, that's 6 quarterbacks in the first round, and 2 of them are facing off on Monday Night Football. And they want their guy to be the best so bad, better than our guy. And it's a shame. It really is. I feel for them. They're so miserable as a fan base. They can't even just simply enjoy the fact that for the first time since like Sid Luckman, right? Since the 1980s with Jim McMahon, they actually have a real NFL quarterback. They can't even enjoy and celebrate the fact that they may have gotten a guy that can lead them to success, to beating the Green Bay Packers and teams in their division, the Lions and the Vikings. They may actually have a real quarterback. They're so obsessed with our guy and our success that they can't even enjoy their own. A wise man just told us not too long ago, comparison is the thief of joy. And no one's being robbed more than Bears fans. It's a shame, but that's not my problem. That's not your problem. That's not our problem. As a wise man once said to me, tough titty said the kitty, but the milk is still good. Not our problem. Whatever the hell that means, not our problem is what I'm going to equate that to, right? Cheers to that, right? Ultimately, we just want to beat them so we can tell you, get the hell out of my face. You're like a fly in my ear. Shoot, get out of here. Get out of here. And so beyond that, now removing the irrational and coming back to rational thoughts. This is a big game because it symbolizes the Commanders starting to gather some consistency, something we've lacked all season long. Week 1, you play well on defense, not so well on offense. Week 2, you're awful. All 3 phases, both phases, offense and defense, you're still good on special teams. Week 3, you're really good on offense. Defense was solid, right? Still gave up some big plays, still had some breakdowns, but you were able to keep the Raiders from making this a real competitive game. You got after Geno Smith. You stopped the run for the most part, but it still wasn't the cleanest, but dominant enough, right? You scored 40, you beat them up, good. Right? Week 4, you stink it up defensively. Offense left some meat on the bone, but they were good enough to win. Defense was just putrid. It's one of the worst performances we've seen in the DQ era. Week 5, you bounce back. You start slow again. That's still a problem. However, you go 27 unanswered points. The defense steps up, creates turnovers for the second consecutive week. The offense steps up with Jaden Daniels back in the lineup. It all looks good. Special teams continues to be really good for this football team. You did give up a punt return for a touchdown, but it was negated by a roughing the kicker penalty. So all's well that ends well. Can you finally put together 2 straight weeks of good football? Something the Commanders haven't done, something that they've lacked, something that has gone awry for them, and they have missed the mark on consistency. Can they finally do that on Monday night? It's a big one. This is a missed opportunity, a chance to recover what was a missed opportunity in week 4. After beating up on the Raiders, you had a chance in week 4 to create a 2-game win streak and then potentially turn it into 3 against the Chargers. Instead, you lost to the Falcons. Here's another opportunity to create a win streak. Can you finally do it and get hot? You need to, because the schedule is getting hot. It's heating up. It'd be nice to go into some of these games with some momentum. It'd be nice to go into Dallas next week with a 2-game win streak. It'd be nice to find a way to go into a place that we've struggled, especially when Dak Prescott is healthy, and win. And come out of that thing with a 3-game win streak going into week number 8 on Monday night on the road at Arrowhead going against Kansas City at 5-2 instead of 4-3 or 3-4 or some crazy number. It starts here with a win against the Bears on Monday night to make it 2 in a row to get to 4-2. This is a big game. We've talked about the ramifications of the NFC conference record and all of that good stuff. We don't have to continue to rehash that. We know the importance of this game. If you are who you say you are, prove it. You're a heavy hitter, prove it. You got some bad motherfuckers on the team, you got some BMFs, prove it. This is the stage for it. Monday night, bright lights, big stage, everyone's watching, battle black uniforms. What more do you need? Prove it. You are who you say you are, prove it. This is the 31st ranked rush defense. We're the #1 rush rank offense. Prove it. Don't let them off the hook. They can't stop the run. Feed them run until they're done. Feed them run. This doesn't have to be a Jaden game. This could be a running back game. This could be a Bill and J-Mac and C-Rod game. This could be a running back game. Jaden can add his legs in there if he needs to. And then when they start to look for the run and they start coming up and they get nosy, that's when you hit them over the top. Be nice to have Terry. It would have been nice to have Terry back. Speaking of which, let's talk about some injuries, right? Let's take a look at the injury situation. I want to talk about the injuries for this game, and then I want to open up to a broader spectrum of injuries because I feel like this team is getting healthy at the right time moving forward. So let's talk about the injury situation. We're going to start with the good guys, right? So the Commanders did not practice on Friday. So what you're looking at right now is an estimation. They did not have practice today. So had they had practice, this is what it would have looked like, right? Terry's not playing. And I know you guys saw the clip of Terry McLaurin warming up on Thursday with the team and then jogging slowly off of the main practice field to the side practice field where he would get his stretching and his work in with the athletic trainers, right? Terry doesn't look like a guy that's ready to play this week. Another week of rehab, strengthening his quad and his core and all of that. I think he'll be ready to go next week. But he looks like a guy that's not ready to go this week. And he's not, as you can see. He didn't practice today, didn't practice yesterday, didn't practice Thursday, didn't practice Wednesday. Was no practice today, but if it was, he wouldn't have practiced again. He's not playing this week, which is fine. Chris Rodriguez, not concerned about his calf right now. I think Saturday he'll be practicing, even if it's on a limited capacity, and he'll be ready to go for similar to Debo's a heel, right? Last week. Like I don't see this as a big deal, right? Noah Brown limited. I feel like he's going to be back, and it's only right that the man with the Hail Mary namesake, Noah's Ark, aka Bear Trap, aka Washington Walk-Off, it's only fitting that he come back in this game and be a part of the game that gave him folklore, that made him a legend, right? I think he'll be back this week. That'll help this offense as well. The more the merrier at the receiver position. Again, you're one step closer to Chris Moore never having to impact the game offensively with Noah Brown's return. You're one step closer, right? Again, give me Tay Martin or give me death. I'm at that point now, right? Give me Tay Martin or give me death. I don't need to see Chris Moore. I'm good. Tay Martin plays special teams. He made a special teams tackle last week. I don't need to see Chris Moore. So Debo would have been limited with the heel. He's fine. Nobody needs to be concerned at all. He spoke to the media, this week. They asked him about him and Jaden in the huddle, and he laughed about the face. Like, God damn, y'all don't miss nothing. Like, I can't believe y'all saw that, right? You got to understand, people got cameras now on their phone. Like, people are at games and they got you, bro. You can't get away with nothing, but he got a good chuckle out of it. And you know what I saw from Debo? I saw this, and I might be late. I'm late. I'm probably late. Y'all watch all of the content that comes out about this team. I don't. I catch it when I can, but I saw something that just made my heart smile because it feels like Debo's really happy. I watched the receiver show season 1, or it was season 2 of the quarterback. Then they did receiver. He was on that season, and it was season 3, which is season 2 of the quarterback series. He was on the season 2, but the first year of the receiver. And you could tell he was, he was cool. San Francisco was cool or whatever. He had established relationships there. He had spent his entire career there, but it felt like something was missing. This guy has been all smiles since he got here. And as he and Jaden's relationship continues to grow and blossom, and you heard Jaden talk about it at his press conference this week, he said, as we continue to complete passes on and off the field, meaning as we strengthen our relationship on the field and off the field, we become that much more dangerous, right? Debo said in an interview on the Commanders Network that this is the happiest he's ever been in his NFL career. I feel that. Do you feel that? I feel that. I see that. I see the joy that he plays with. I see the smile on his face. The dimples, they're popping, right? Every time you see Debo, those dimples are as deep as they can get. He's always got a smile on his face. And to hear him say that, it matches the energy that I feel like permeates from him and his play when we see him out on the football field. Again, I know Rio said something to this effect. He could never do a dance, a little dancey dance in the end zone, right? With Brock Purdy. No offense to Brock Purdy, but he not Jaden Daniels. You know what I'm saying? The vibe here is just different. Guys like Javon Kinlaw are like, bro, this is the best environment I've ever been in. It's why we can win every year, because we do it right and it starts from the top. And so Debo's fine. John Bates is fine. Cosme, I would not rule him out for this game. Although I still believe it's Dallas next week for Cosme. I'm not gonna go back on that. They're gonna have to prove me wrong and activate him on Sunday, which is, you always have to do this the day before, to make me believe he's going to be on the field on Sunday or Monday night. I think he's going to play against Dallas. And I think that's the right thing to do for guys like him and Terry, who you're not sure about, who you don't want to push too hard. Remember, it's a short week. You're playing on Monday night and you got to turn around and travel to Dallas and play on a Sunday. So you have a short week. You don't want to push a guy that's coming back from an ACL and have him play 2 games in 6 days, roughly. Like, that's not a smart move. So I just don't see them doing that to Cosme. It doesn't make sense for them to do that, So I think he's going to be out this game, and then he's going to be back in full, ready to rock and roll next week against Dallas. I think Terry will be back for that game in Dallas, and we'll be damn near at full strength offensively, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. And then we can hit the ground running. And I just want to add this in too, and as we talk broader picture. Jonathan Jones, who was placed on IR, much like Terry McLaurin, was seen on the adjacent field at practice on Thursday. It's the first time anybody's seen this guy in weeks. So what that tells me, and I don't remember what week he was put. It was the Green Bay game. He got hurt in the Green Bay game. So he got put on IR in week 3. Right. So he missed week 3, week 4, week 5. This is week 6. So he's eligible to come off of IR in week 7, technically speaking, right? If he's healthy enough and ready to go. So when I say help is on the way, I truly mean help is on the way. We're getting healthier. Anytime a guy starts to work on that adjacent field at practice and the media starts to see those guys during the media open portion of practice, it means guys are getting closer to being ready to return to play. Because when a guy is out, like he's not coming back anytime soon, you don't see him. You don't hear about him. When Terry was out, for the first 2 weeks, Terry wasn't seen at practice. They didn't see him at all. This is the first week they've seen Terry at practice. This is the first week they've seen Jonathan Jones at practice. That means these guys are getting closer to return. Noah Brown, right? I think last week was the first time they saw Noah Brown out on the practice field. Noah Brown's been out since week 2. So we're getting healthier. Again, at the right time, the schedule is tightening up. If you ask me, this is the toughest stretch of our schedule. I'm not disrespecting the stretch after the bye, because that's tough too in its own right. But this stretch that we're about to go through, Bears on a Monday night, Cowboys on the road, Chiefs on the road Monday night, right? So Monday night, America's game of the week, 425 against Dallas on the road. You go back on the road again for Monday Night Football for the second time in 3 weeks, this time against the Kansas City Chiefs. Then you come back home for America's game of the week against the Detroit Lions in week number 9. You go back to you go home for a Sunday Night Football game, right? Notice the fluctuation in the scheduling, right? So it's home for Sunday Night Football against Seattle, really good football team. Then you're on at home for the Lions in week number 10, America's game of the week. Then you're on a plane to Madrid to take on the Miami Dolphins. That's a tough stretch, because not just because of the opponents that we're playing, but because of the different fluctuations in time. You know, Sunday afternoon, Monday night, Sunday afternoon, Monday night, Sunday night, Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, Madrid, America's game of the week, 425, Madrid. Like, you're all over the place. And DQ talked about establishing consistency on the field, but also off the field with your practice schedule. This was one of the things I talked about before the season started. Like, I want to see how we handle being in the spotlight. We didn't handle the first primetime game very well. We didn't handle that well in week 2 versus Green Bay. We didn't handle that well. This is the first time that we've had a full week of preparation for a primetime game this season. I want to see what it looks like. And also, this is the first of 4 games, and I know I brought this up the other day. I'm going to bring it up again. This is the first of 4 games. A league high, an NFL high, 4 games against teams coming off of a bye. This is the first. Bears came off of a bye week. They got us on Monday Night Football. We got 3 more of these after this game. No one else has as many as the Commanders do. 4 teams coming off of a bye. We negate one of them in week number 13, as Denver will be coming off their bye, and so will we. But it's still, nonetheless, 4 teams coming off of a bye week. Extra rest, extra time to prepare. Let's see what we got for the Chicago Bears. This is the same narrative, same script from last year. They were coming off of a bye, and they came to Washington. Let's see what happens this time, right? So you then go to the Bears and the ops and their injury report. So I got to apologize to the Bears. Yesterday, I was like, I don't know what the Bears are doing. They didn't practice on Thursday. What are they doing? What are they, So we didn't practice on Friday, right? And if you play on Monday, there's going to be, unless you want your team to practice all week, which is not a good thing, right? You don't want your team practicing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then play on Monday. You don't want to wear them out. So there's going to be an off day, and the Bears elected to have their off day be Thursday. So I was wrong. I was like, what are they doing? They're off on a Thursday on a week where they play on a Monday? They're tripping. No, they just decided to take their off day on Thursday, and they're coming off of a bye. So they actually practice on Friday, unlike the Commanders, because the Commanders practice on Thursday and they didn't. So their injury report is really worth looking at, because it's the first time we've actually got tangible data to go off of. And I think it's important leading into Saturday's practice, where we'll get the finality of it and we'll find out who is in and who is out. I told you, coming off of a bye, I expect everybody on this list to play until we're told that they're not going to play. Right now, the only guy that feels like he isn't going to be able to go in this game is Grady Jarrett. That's the defensive tackle, one of their prize offseason acquisitions that they acquired from the Atlanta Falcons. And they already are struggling to stop the run. And Grady Jarrett is a huge part of them trying to stop the run. And if he can't go, that's going to hurt them further, right? He feels like he's not going to go. Kyler Gordon is definitely playing. I've seen interviews with him talking. I've saw reports from people that cover the team. He's told reporters he's playing. So I know he's coming back from his hamstring injury. So we won't catch a break there. I expect Colson Loveland to play in this game. He did not play in the game versus the Raiders prior to the bye, but you had him out that game. He got the week of rest from the bye week, and now this week I expect Colston Loveland to be out there. So we should see and expect a heavy dose of 2 tight end sets with he and the other tight end that he killed us 2 years ago when we played the Bears. So the Notre Dame tight end, I always forget his name, and I don't know why. And it's only 4 letters, and I, for the life of me, can never remember his name, and I don't know why. Because he's really good. And then Darnell Wright, I think he's going to play too. I think he's going to play. Cole Kmet, thank you. Thank you, Jay Will. I think all of these guys are going to play, except for Grady Jarrett. You see all the other guys are full participants on Friday. Jaquan Brisker, Kyle Monangai, all those guys that were, either out or limited the day before. Jonah Jackson, those guys are playing. So don't expect any breaks from the Bears coming off of a bye week. You generally don't get a ton of breaks from a team coming off of a bye. They're going to be pretty much at full strength with the guys that are eligible to play. Remember, there's no Jalen Johnson, their number 1 corner. He's out on IR with a hamstring injury. So he won't be participating in this game, but they'll have everyone else. So we got to strap it up and get ready to go because these boys they're looking for revenge. Who are we kidding? And that's one of the most dangerous motivators is when you come out and you're looking for revenge against a team that you feel like wronged you the last time you saw them. So we got to be ready, as we know these boys want some get back. They want their lick back, and I don't blame them. But you can't have it. That's got to be the mindset and the mentality. You don't have power over us. You don't get your lick back. You don't determine the rules and parameters here. You don't set terms. We do. And we got to treat it as such, right? So that was basically all I really wanted to come here and talk to you guys about in this space. Was like, this division is there for the taking. The Giants did us a huge solid. And what that game also indicates, and we don't know what the Giants are going to look like when we play them the next time. We don't play the Giants till like week 15, right? Remember, we finished the season up with 4 straight NFC East games. Giants in week 15, Eagles in week 16, Cowboys in week 17, and then the Eagles again in week 18. So we finish up the season with 4 straight NFC East opponents. We don't know what the Giants are going to look like in week 15. Right. We don't know who's going to be healthy, what's what. It's a cool story now. It could really be a even bigger story by the time we get to them. Who knows, right? But ultimately, they're no longer, an easy dub where you just go, hey, yeah, we're definitely beating the Giants. You're going to have to go and take that dub from them. But as I've said before, if you have aspirations of winning the division, you got to sweep the Giants. And as a fan of this team, I have every intention of us sweeping the Giants, sweeping them up, dustpan broom. And I'm looking at everybody in the division is a suspect until otherwise notified. Looking to win every game in this division, but we have a chance to win this division, and we now got a chance to get a piece of first place and put ourselves in the mix. We cannot miss this opportunity that's sitting right here for us. Who knows? We get to sit back and watch the Cowboys on Sunday. They're playing against a feisty. I expect them to beat Carolina, but I wouldn't be shocked if Carolina snuck them, right? I would not be shocked if Carolina, jumped up and got the Cowboys. They're tired of being sunned by Dallas. Every time they play Dallas, they get sunned by the Cowboys, and they're sick of it. And Rico Dowdle is looking for some get back. He felt disrespected by the Cowboys. So he wants a little bit of, revenge and redemption for the team that gave him a chance, but didn't feel like he was good enough to give a deal to. So he's coming off of a 200-yard rushing performance against Miami. Dallas's run defense has been pretty stout this season, so I don't see him doing that to Dallas. But, we'll see if that Dallas Cowboys defense, who was Swiss cheese early in the season, what they've got. They played well against the Jets, but who doesn't play well against the Jets? Offense, right? So you really can't give them too much credit for that. We'll see what they do against Carolina this week. But who knows? We could get another gift, and Carolina could jump up and bite these boys. I wouldn't, bet on that happening. But that's irrelevant to us. That has no bearing, no impact on what we got going on. Whether the Eagles won on Thursday or not, it had no impact on us. We still need to take care of our business just because it's our business and we need to take care of it, period. And I've said this to you guys hundreds of times. We just got to take care of us. We take care of our business and everything else will take care of itself. And that's the position that we currently find ourselves in. We take care of business on Monday night. Guess what? We in first place. We in first place. What more could you ask for? You didn't get off to the fastest of starts, but here we are. Piece of first place if you can get it done on Monday Night Football. With a chance to make a statement the following week versus Dallas and separate yourself in the division. The Eagles already have a loss in the division. You want to stay perfect? Every team in the division, except for us, has a loss in the division. Giants have, until they won on Monday night, the Giants had lost 9 straight division contests. 9 straight. Including they had already lost to both the Cowboys and the Commanders this season. They were already 0-2 in the division before the win. Dallas had already lost to Philadelphia. And now Philadelphia has lost to the Giants. We're the only one with a 0 in the right-hand column. I'd like to keep it that way. But you got to get past Chicago first, right? That's the most important part. You got to get past Chicago first. So let's get to the comment section and see what you guys have to say. All right. And then for those of you who are members of the MOBB, after I get off of this, I'm going to go ahead and fire up the film. I'm just going to go ahead and knock it out. I'm up. I'm alert. It'd probably be the best time for me to do it. So I'm just go ahead and fire up the live for the film, and we can just go ahead and knock that out too. And if you're a member of the MOBB, it'll be there on demand if you're not able to watch it. I know it's late. So again, not everybody will be able to watch right now. That's fine. But we got to knock this Chargers film out. I think it's one that we all were looking forward to watching, but there are some things in there that's not so good that we need to see as well, right? So looking forward to watching it. So we're going to go ahead and knock it out after this. HTTR Carson, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, going to my first ever NFL game this Monday night, all the way from Nebraska. Wowzers. That's dope. That's awesome. Hitting the Husker game at Maryland as well. So you planned this well, right? 2-for-1 special, 2 birds, 1 stone, right? Also walked around Northwest today. So you just got the full experience. I love it, HTTR Carson. Maryland coming off of their first loss, so you're looking to take advantage of, maybe a vulnerable team. They could be pissed off, and you may be walking into a buzzsaw. We'll see. But either way, that's pretty dope. And I hope you got the memo. And I credit to the Commanders staff and organization, social media team, all of that good stuff for sending out the memo and really hammering home the point of, hey, this is a blackout game. Wear your black. Because our fans don't like, our fans are a little, when it comes to this kind of stuff, they're a little slow, right? Because we, first of all, we haven't been the fanciest of organizations. We haven't had our fans show up in masses. So we're not accustomed to real home field advantages. So we don't know how this all works. This is all new to our fan base, right? So they're learning. Last year, they didn't get the memo, right? We wore black against the Bears. I don't think our organization necessarily did the best job of communicating to the fans, hey, you should all wear black. We're wearing black. You should wear black too. So you're getting all kinds of burgundy and white and all kinds of shit. Hey, they sent out memos. They just had a post on social media. If you go to the team website, it's there. Wear black. Arrive early and wear black, right? So hopefully it would be pretty dope if they gave out like, black towels or something, to even create an even better ambiance at the stadium. That would be dope. Burgundy towels, whatever. I would just give out black towels, right? If you want a blackout, why would you give out anything other than black? Rio had a great idea. Like in the NBA, and it's a lot easier to do it in the NBA because it's only 17,000 seats. So you can put a T-shirt on every seat for a playoff game, that kind of thing. It's hard to put a black T-shirt on 60,000 seats. And guess what? All of them are not your fans. But that doesn't matter. It would be dope to just, if you're going to give something away, usually like first 10,000 fans get a towel or whatever. Give something away black. That they can, last year I think they gave out those little stretchy flags that that roll up and then you can pull them apart and and those were dope, right? Give away something and really turn the environment up to 10, right, on these boys, and make it feel like a real home field environment. Make the Bears feel the environment. Maybe create some penalties. Create a raucous environment for them to have to come and play in on a Monday night. And I want you to experience that. And hopefully you did your part and you wore black, right? You packed black and you're ready to show up in your black and help this team attack the Chicago Bears. But you know what to do. I have to say this to you. You're already here. You're already in the city. But go in there and bring the dub home, right? Go in there and bring the dub home. You know what to do. Don't leave empty-handed. You're going back to Nebraska after this. Take a dub back with you. Take the dub back with you. Shout out to you. All right. Let's see. All right. So that was our only super chat. So we'll get out of here. You guys enjoy the rest of your evening. And for those of you who are members of the MOBB, give me about 10 minutes to set it up. Check your community wall posts. I'll be sending you a link and we're going to get active. So looking forward to chopping it up with y'all so we can watch this film, see what the Commanders did in week 5, see what they need to try to replicate, see what they need to try to eradicate from the game plan, and talk about what they did and what they need to do better. So in any event, I thank y'all for look at me being negligent. Before we get out of here, let's get a word from our sponsor, Sleeper. Sleeper is the best way to experience and connect over sports together. It's a one-stop shop for all of your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat in the games in real time with other users, get the fastest scores, blazing fast news and alerts right at your fingertips. Play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. So enjoy sports the way they were meant to, together. Download the #1 sports app today. Predict the hottest football stats like passing yards, receiving yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and much more to cash in on your daily fantasy football skills. Use promo code LTN and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Sleeper. All right. So with that said, we'll get out of here. Allow you guys to get some Z's, catch some Z's. We'll come back tomorrow. More likely than not, you'll get a Commanders nightly news from me tomorrow because I expect us to hear from DQ tomorrow. I expect us to get our final injury report prior to week number 6's contest on Monday Night Football. We'll officially get who is in, who is out for both teams. I don't think there's going to be any surprises. Right now, feels like Terry McLaurin and Sam Cosmi will be the only two guys out of this game. Everybody else that's on the injury report will play on Monday. That's what it feels like. Sunday, we'll get the guys that they're going to be pulling up and making active. And then we'll go from there, right? And so, we'll see what they decide to do. I'm hoping, my fingers are crossed, that Tay Martin is pulled up from the practice squad again. And that could point to, if we find out on Saturday that Noah Brown is active and they pull up Tay Martin on Sunday, that would lead us to believe that Chris Moore would be a healthy scratch on Sunday or Monday night. But for some reason, I think Chris Moore is going to be active and dressed. So, we can't get away from this dude no matter what we do. But anyway, I digress. Yesterday was awesome, or Thursday was awesome, with the Eagles falling to the Giants in such epic fashion. There's so much going on in Philadelphia right now. A lot of finger pointing, a lot of guys, speaking out. I love it. I love to see, and it feels like this is every single year with the Eagles. So even when you feel like it's a bunch of, and even LB kind of spoke to this, every year they go through this shit. It seems like you don't know which year they're going to implode. This, I already said this, and I said it to LB. He didn't want to hear it because he never wants to hear this type of stuff. But there's always infighting. AJ Brown is usually at the head of this. I love AJ Brown, by the way. He's a great dude. Not because he's stirring up trouble, but he's just a good dude, man. Like, if you listen to him talk, he's a great guy. But he's unhappy, right? He's not getting the football, and he should be. But at the end of the day, it feels like there's always infighting amongst the Eagles. They always seem like they're going to implode. Last year was the whole, what's the defensive lineman's name that retired this year? Forget his name, but he had talked about how AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts didn't have the best relationship, and then he put his foot in his mouth, and then he had to backtrack, and it just created this big stir. But they were so good last year. It was different last year. It felt different because they were so dominant. This year, it feels more like 2 years ago, where there's infighting. There could be a coordinator change if things don't get better. You remember they had the coordinator change with Brian Johnson 2 years ago. They had, in season, they took the play calling from Brian Johnson. Remember, in season, they took the play calling from the defensive coordinator that year and gave it to Matt Patricia, and that was a mess. And so it feels a lot like that than it does like last year. I don't know if they're going to fix this and get back on their horse and be dominant again. The pieces are there, obviously, right? But I just don't know if the spirit is there. I don't know if the energy is there. And the players aren't the same either. So there's a lot that they got to fix, and we'll see. But it was fun to see them get their asses handed to them on a national stage in that way. And if you needed a reason to believe, Thursday night was enough for you to realize, hey, we're right in the mix. All right. We're, no one's telling anybody that we're, a dominant team or anything of the sort, but we got the best quarterback in the, not just the division, in the conference. Our defense is good enough. I believe. I truly believe in my heart of hearts this defense is good enough. Especially if we can start forcing turnovers. Can we make it 3 games in a row that we force a turnover? If we can do that, oh shit, look out. Look out for the Washington Commanders, right? Anyway, I digress. Ab, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, my man Lou, what up, Ab? Hoping you and your family are doing fine. Likewise. I think a 40 burger is bigger, burger is bigger is due. He says, last year's Hail Mary could have felt like a great win, but it wasn't whatsoever. This is our chance to be overwhelming. I agree. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if we put a 40 spot on these boys. It doesn't feel like it. You'll get my final score for the game. I got a score in my head already. So I do think we're going to win this game. We're the better team. I've already said this to you guys. Like, I'll be super disappointed if we don't beat the Bears, because this doesn't feel like weeks 1 and 3 where we just clearly were the superior team. But this does feel like we should win this game. I'll be like, this doesn't feel like last week where I was like, man, I don't know, guys. Like, I'm a little nervous. This doesn't feel like that at all. This feels like, hey, we're the better team. And if we don't win, this is negligence on our part, and I need answers, because the Bears aren't impressive to me. They make a lot of mistakes. They're sloppy with the handles. They easily could be 0-4 right now. They should be 1-3. Like, and I say that loosely. They're probably. I always feel like when people say things like that, you are what your record says you are, as a wise man once said. You are what your record says you are. You know, so we can play the hypotheticals game, if this, if that. But they easily should have won in week 1, which would have negated the come from behind victory in week 4 versus the Raiders. They should have lost that game. So look, it's probably right where they should be at 2-2. These things usually balance themselves out, but they haven't really, outside of the Dallas game, to be very truthful with you, they haven't looked dominant nor cohesive in any game this season except for one, and that was Dallas. And that was against Dallas. They really have looked disjointed in every single game. Even the week 1 game that they were beating Minnesota in, they never put them away, and that's what left the door ajar. And that has allowed Minnesota to kick it open and eventually go through the door, right? They weren't dominant in that game. They got their brains bashed in against Detroit the next week. Then they finally got their ish together against Dallas. And then I thought they were dominated in that. If not for Geno Smith turning the football over 50 million times, they probably lose to the Raiders too. So gotta give Caleb credit for that game-winning drive, taking them down the field, getting them in the field goal range. But ultimately, the Raiders had their opportunities in that game, and they didn't take advantage. We're better than them, and we need to go out and prove it. And I would love to put 40 on them. They're due for one of those, right? Like, they embarrassed us 2 years ago on Thursday Night Football. They embarrassed us, pulled our pants down in front of the nation and pointed at us. It was cold that night, right? This needs to be some get back. This feels like a spot where we get to really flex our muscles. So I'm with you, Ab. I don't know if we'll get to 40. I would love to, but this feels like 30 plus. I do know that. I don't fear their defense at all. And while our defense can leave a lot to be desired, I think they do enough in this game. And along with our special teams, I think we have a special teams advantage in this game as well. I like our chances a lot to win this game going away. So I'm with you. Let's go out here and it sickened me that last year's game came down to what it ultimately. But I talked to the football guys, and they said, bro, you can't ask for the destruction of their season and then be upset at how I execute the destruction of their season. You said you wanted total annihilation of their season. You wanted them to be hopeless after your game. What more do you want from me? He gave us everything we asked for. We wanted to destroy the Bears season last year. Had we beaten them 23-10 last year, which is what it should have been, 23-10, 27-13. Had we beaten them in that manner, they would have gone on and won more games. We crushed their spirit and their souls by hitting that Hail Mary. They never recovered from it. That was the ultimate middle finger to the Bears last year. You couldn't have done it any better. This year, I want no parts of that. This year, I just want them to know y'all ain't on our level. Get on our level, ho. What? Get on our level, hot. I just want them to know. You can never, ever, 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 ever get on my level, ho. I just want them to know. That's all. So I'm with you, Ab. Let's go get it. Let's do it. So anyway, I digress. You guys get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you guys next time. I see some of y'all in the comment section asking for me to make it. The NFL, so YouTube, remember, I was trying to do it in week 1. YouTube has cracked down on film sessions. I can no longer share them with the masses. They've pretty much, because YouTube TV is now in bed with the NFL, YouTube is not allowing you to show film any longer. Like that, this is a thing of the past. So I can't show you guys the film. So I'm sorry. I wish I could, because I would do it. If you're up this late, I would open it up to everybody, but that's just not, it's not feasible because of the restrictions put on, you know, all these channels by YouTube. They're coming down, man. They would not. I remember I was trying to go live and I was like 7-8 minutes in, and then bam, they shut the shit down. Like they're not playing. So I apologize, but it's just, when in Rome, you do as in Rome, right? Anyway, I digress. So you guys have a great night. Take care. I will see you guys tomorrow. We'll hear from DQ more likely than not. We'll get the final injury report. We'll go through all of that. I'll give you my keys to victory, all that good stuff. We'll have our game plan and our final outcome for the game on Monday night. Look forward to chopping it up with you guys then. Until then, I'm your man, Louie T. Signing off. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. You guys have a good one. Take care. God bless. Peace.